Welcome to Line by Line. Today I have a new guest, Hi, Christian. Christian from Agapologia. Substack, YouTube, there is also a dedicated Discord. All the links are below. Guys, please check it out and give Christian a follow and yeah, reach out to him. Okay, so the song today is Nothing Else Matters by Metallica. Yeah, excellent choice. Like one of the most listened to songs by me, especially 10 years ago to 20 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Christian, why did you pick that song?
Yeah, so likewise with me, it's one of my most listened to songs since for a long time. So I was exposed to Metallica at a very young age. I have an older brother who's 10 years older than me, and so for him the Black Album was like which is what Nothing Else Matters is on. That was like Metallica selling out, like he wasn't very happy about it when it first came out. It's grown on him over the years, but so I actually grew up on the uh I think the first album I remember listening to was probably Master of Puppets when I was like probably in like a crib, I was very small, but 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 yeah, Nothing Else Matters has always been one of my favorite Metallica songs. It was one of the first songs that I learned on guitar, just the finger picking part, the intro. Because it's very easy. It's all like open strings. It's like, it's a super easy part. So there was that. And I've always been into like more gritty, rough kind of music, especially when I was younger, partially because of the environment I grew up in, probably. I just like a blue collar home. My dad's a mason, stuff like that. So anything that was like tough and rough around the edges, I was more into. So Metallica, Guns N' Roses, uh, all kinds of stuff. So yeah, that's and there's just a lot of I have a lot of good memories associated with this song in particular. Um, uh, but I guess yeah, that's why I picked it. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that song. It's just like it touches some memory chords somewhere there.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. Like it can get
Yeah.
you time traveling in an instance.
Yeah.
So, would you do the honors and read the beginning?
Sure. Sure. So yeah, the first verse here, so close no matter how far, couldn't be much more from the heart, forever trusting who we are and nothing else matters. Yeah.
Be much more from the heart. What does that mean? Like, what does it ring for you?
So I mean, uh to me, uh he's saying that whatever or whoever this is that is so close, no matter how like physically far apart maybe you are, you're
Mhm.
always close to this person. um and close as in uh like close to your heart, and so this line couldn't be much more from the heart. um I think it's also kind of maybe like a meta line, like about the song, like that the song couldn't be much more from the heart either. Like it's entirely from the heart, and just knowing some of the backstory about the song, I guess. And um it kind of makes sense as well that
He
that
wrote
particular
it for
line.
his girlfriend, right?
I believe so, yeah, yeah, yeah. And yeah, so and from what I understand, he was reluctant to show the bandmates the song. He was very like insecure about it because it's kind of a touchy feely softer sort of song compared to all of their other material, and it ends up being one of their biggest hits. So so that was something. But yeah.
It was out of character, and yet it was a huge success as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess breaking the boundaries or even going with your creative flow,
Mm-hmm.
uh, yeah,
Yeah, well, it's interesting how for different depending on what place you're in and what kind of person you are, um, doing the sort of uh, the normal thing outside of your box, can be like a major risk, right? So for most people, what Metallica does in general is not normal, right? The song "Nothing Else Matters" for most people maybe is more of a normal kind of song, but coming from a member of Metallica, it's like a huge risk, and it's being on the fringe, even though this is like such a like it's a nice song, it's not like and it's a simple song, right, compared to a lot of, especially their earlier Metallica's earlier stuff. um but doing the simpler singer songwriter sort of thing was James Hetfield being out on the fringe of his group. It's very funny.
Lars Ulrich, he convinced him to keep the song, and he's also uh, kind of listed as co-composer. He made it happen, let's say. He was like, no, we go for that. What do you think about the line trusting who we are, even though we are far apart?
um the way I initially take it is uh, trusting who each other are, right? So like I can trust in who you are and you can trust in who I am, and that's how we're able to, despite being far apart, be so close. That's how I take it. Yeah.
Hmm. I mean, he was on tour when he wrote that song and he was missing his girlfriend. She didn't go with him for some reason. And and knowing that idea, dating while somebody is going on tour with all the groupies and stuff, trusting, bringing in the trust is very important. You have to trust
Yeah.
me that nothing happens. It's just you and me, and
Right.
nothing else matters. Groupies don't matter. Please don't look there.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just, and yeah.
It's tough, I would think. Never open myself this way. Life is ours. We live it our way. All these words I don't just say, and nothing else matters. Yeah.
Okay. As a guy, what do you think he's telling her in those lines?
Um, well, the third line in particular, so all these words I don't just say, um, you know, guys will frequently get criticized for, you say you love me, but prove it to me kind of thing, right? So that's how I take that third line. Uh, and then the two preceding it, never open myself. Well, the first one, never open myself this way. Um, uh, it's almost like feels like he's maybe regretting not opening up to her when he was with her in person. So
Oh,
now that he's like far apart, and distance makes the heart grow fonder, and blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. He's feeling it right now, and he's feels like he's making himself vulnerable to her and also to the world for her sake, right? By writing this song. Yeah.
oh yeah. So as a girl, I hear that as you are special. I have never before done that, but for you, I'm doing it.
Mhm.
Nothing else matters, and also go back to trust me. Life is ours. We live it our way.
Mhm.
Uh, this means, what if she, again, it's complete projection here. I'm making a hypothetical scenario based on my lack of knowledge of whatever happened in reality. But life is ours. We live it our way. Um, It's like, let's say girl tells him there is traditional way of being, and he is like, no, life is ours, we live it our way, because he's a musician, he's a rock star,
Hmm.
and he's on tour.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think that, like, I miss you, babe, but you should
Hmm.
trust me. I think
Hmm.
that's all I see
Hmm.
here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting actually. That particular line, life is ours, we live it our way. I don't think I ever put much thought into it. I always just kind of took it as a, you know, rebellious rocker not wanting to fit the norm. But I think thinking of the specific context, and they probably, they certainly had people close to them. His girlfriend in particular, probably had people close to her saying, like, there's no way you can trust him, right? Like, there's no way that he's faithful to you. Like, this isn't how relationships work. Like, you're supposed to be together, you're not supposed to be thousands of miles away from each other.
Yeah.
So yeah.
When you're 29 and you're a musician, he's passionate about everything he does. So even love, when he
Mhm.
falls in love, it's that much. It's not like
Mhm. Mhm.
mellow. It's a lot of drama and musical heat. Like
Oh yeah.
billions watched it, like on YouTube, billions.
Oh yeah. So trust I seek and I find in you, every day for us something new, open mind for a different view, and nothing else matters. It's almost like he's building off of, the lines leading up to that are talking about his view of her as it stands, like, in his value of her as it stands. And then on this, he's building on it and saying, like, this is like a poetic way of saying, I love you more each day, right? Like, everybody say,
Mm-hmm.
you know, every day, like in a Hallmark card, you'd see that, right? I love you more each day, or you leave little love notes or something, and him saying, trust I seek and I find in you, every day for us something new, open mind for a different view. It's like, um, I don't just see you as how I've seen you. Like, I, even being all this distance apart, when I think of you, I see new things that I love about you, or something like that. Yeah.
Mm. I
Yeah.
understood it completely differently. I mean, to me, again, trust I seek and I find in you. So he's looking for that trust. But then again,
Hmm.
open mind for a different view. It's like, it's not traditional. Boyfriend and girlfriend should
Hmm.
not be far apart for half a year. You should be here. You should not hang out. Boyfriend should not hang out with groupies. Like all of that. And he's like, open mind for
Hmm.
a different you, and
Yeah,
nothing
yeah.
else matters.
Right. Never cared for what they do, never cared for what they know, but I know. Um, so again, this is like the, um, how I've kind of traditionally taken the song in general, is from the standpoint of someone on the fringes, someone rebellious, someone who doesn't want to be controlled, right? Um, Not from like the relationship, like individual relationship perspective, but from the like societal position that he was in. And as a very bullied young person, I latched on. This is one of the reasons why I latched on to Metallica again, like, why I continued to stay latched on to Metallica. So even though I was very little when I first started listening to them, just because it was being played around me, um, but then I just like, uh, I grew a very strong emotional tie to Metallica as I entered into my teens, because I was very bullied and I just wanted to lash out, and I hated anything that was, like, popular and preppy or whatever. I wanted to, like, tear it all down. And so this line, this here, never cared for what they do, never care for what they know, but I know it's like always super resonated with me. I'm just like, I don't I don't care what I'm supposed to do to fit in with everyone else. Uh, like I don't want to be a part of this thing that has pushed me to the outside, basically. So it's not exactly in line with those lyrics, but those lyrics elicit that like emotion, that sense from me.
Mhm. It makes me think about art being in the eye of the beholder. You know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we see maybe the singer wrote something else, but we see our own message in it. We have our own insight.
Mm-hmm.
And the way he sang it was very empowering. He was like, never cared for what they do. Like there was
Mm-hmm.
some power in it, and it was like almost motivating, you know, to keep holding
Mm-hmm.
on, um, to be yourself in a way, and also like going back to school, even though you understand that you will be uh, punished for being who you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, like all everything we read up to now did not resonate as much. Like I did kind of see jealousy in it because you know a woman, and but here, yeah, it struck a chord with trying to fit in the
Mm-hmm.
society, rejection,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
also standing your ground, even.
Yeah.
But
Oh
I
yeah.
know.
Yep. That's yeah, exactly. Because I'm when I first when I first was moved by this song, as like a preteen, probably when it first came out. Yeah, yeah. I
It
don't know.
came
I was
out
10
in
years old or something.
92.
92. Yeah, so I was 8 years old when it came out, and yeah, I was probably already getting bullied by then and whatnot. Um, so yeah, it was I the idea of this being a love song never even crossed my mind when I was younger. I was just this was just a rebellion against the society I wasn't fitting in with. Even as a very as a young child. So yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, as well, musicians, they have high perception. They perceive non-verbal things even. There is this sort of sensitivity there. That's so they can read the crowd. They can feel others. So if a child musician, even future musician, but already has those wiring in there to perceive, I don't know, microaggression, to feel the room. So when you go in the classroom of, I don't know, 20 depressed children, maybe in a bad school, let's say, I certainly had my share of that. Going into classroom of depressed children who are like, most of them are being beaten up by their parents or something. And you feel that overall cloud of darkness in a way. And of course, there are kids who will take it on you because you see, and they see that you see. It's weird.
Mhm.
It's like a non-verbal thing that is happening. Only adults can go back in mind and understand what actually was going on in there. A child,
Yeah,
they leave it. They're not yet able to frame it properly, but they
yeah,
kind of experience the punishment for that. Yeah,
yep.
there is certain intelligence in reading the crowd, and if you don't want to be a part of this depressed crowd, you don't fit in. Um, there is something that should be looked at and maybe respected even.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny, like there are those exercises. What would you say to a child self if you could? What would it be for you?
One of the things, which is kind of a cliche, but I believe it, even though as a child I wouldn't receive it, I guess, is that the people who are bullying you are probably hurting more than you are. Um, like there's probably hurt behind that bullying. That's one thing. Um, More importantly, um, don't be careful not to um, tie up your self-worth in the lack of worth you think other people see in you, right? So like what's easier, a clearer way to say that? um, don't think you're worthless just because you think other people think you're worthless. Yeah, that's because that's what I thought as a child. I thought like, except for my parents and my grandparents, maybe, like I thought my peers, specifically, I thought like just didn't even, either didn't think I existed or thought I wasn't worth existing. So, which is pretty terrible for a kid to think.
It's also children um, not always understand that people say things just as a way of letting out anger. They don't
Mhm.
even think that. They just say
Mhm.
it because they need a reaction. And
Yeah,
I hope right now there is a better social education for children. Like, mm, it was
I
sure
think.
tough back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Well, at least in particular in the country and the state in which I live right now, I think we just extremely overcompensated. Um, so now which is equally destructive to the children's psyche. I think perhaps more so even. I don't know.
Confusing. It's confusing. It gives
Yes.
a
Yeah.
lot of stuff, and the child still doesn't have a framework. It's the framework that needed.
Never cared for what they say. Never cared for games they play. Never cared for what they do. Never cared for what they know and I know. Yeah. Yeah. The second line always, I think, always stands out to me. Never cared for games they play because um, I think when I was younger, it was just the way that he sang it. But over the years and especially recently, um, it like substantively rings with me too, like resonates with me in that it's because games they play is like it more it gets more at the social agreements, the rules, the the etiquette. This is what you do to look cool or to fit in or whatever, right? The game, like, you had to fit these things, otherwise you're not allowed to play the game. And as when I was younger, right, it'd be like I would say, well, I don't care about the game, I don't want to play your stupid game, but obviously the way I'm saying it means I kind of feel some type of way about being left outside of the game, right?
Yeah, the
But
word stupid actually adds some feeling to it.
exactly,
The judgment.
exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah. So now it still resonates with me, but more in a um, there's there are social games being played today that are detrimental to the participants in the game as well as like the bystanders. And not to say that this song is some like uh conservative anthem or something like that, because obviously that would that'd be kind of silly. But um yeah, that particular line in that stanza is what stands out to me most.
The idea of fitting in, and that you have to fit in, had been drilled to us by parents, because parents want us to be part of
Mm-hmm.
society and fit in. And if we don't fit in, we are unhappy. But when you go into a room of children who all kind of upset and fighting their own battles, and they taking it out on others with an order from your parent to fit in, and you see you can't, and then you will rebel. And there is this rebellion here that I see. Never cared for what they say, so
Mm-hmm.
no, never cared what games they play, and never cared for what they do. And it's standing your ground, having your own opinion,
Mm-hmm.
being who you are. That's what I see in those lines. It's empowering
Yeah.
in a way.
Yeah. In the last line, the first part of the last line, and I know, um, it's like the common response to the previous lines would be, well, of course you feel that way. You've never been part of the game, so you don't know what it's like to be part of the game. And it feels like he's saying here, yeah, I do know, and I still don't care. Like perhaps it's because I know, uh, that's what makes me not care for the game or whatever, right? Um, yeah.
Mm. There is this games they play. So the word they say, they play, they do, they know. All of that is a separation. Mm.
Yep.
Imagine never cared for what we say, never cared for what games we play, never cared for what, like that doesn't come, right? It's they.
Right. Right.
It's interesting because, like, as a part of the band, he knows what it's like to be a part of a community. It's a tiny
Mm-hmm.
community of other people who understand you and who are on the same wavelength. So you both, or like all of you, can cooperate with each other properly.
Mm-hmm.
But it's only this small band against the rest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So close, no matter how far. Couldn't be much more from the heart. Forever trusting who we are. No, nothing else matters.
Yeah. Nicely. So
Yeah.
he circled back into it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. This is getting a little bit outside the lyrics, but I don't know if you saw the there was some interview or something where Elton John was there with the guys from Metallica, and Elton John said this is one of the best songs ever written, and James Hetfield started crying. It's amazing. I started crying watching it because it was such a weird moment for me for some reason, because I felt like I was James Hetfield, and like being told that by someone who you would not expect to say that that's one of the best songs ever written, because Elton John is known for being
Yeah.
he's associated with many of the best songs ever written, right?
Oh
And
my God.
Imagine that.
What's your favorite Elton John song?
I don't even know, to tell you the truth. There's so many.
Not a Rocket
um,
Man, of course. Yeah. Sacrifice. For me, it's definitely the sacrifice.
yeah.
Nikita is weird. Nikita never. But like,
Hmm.
but I actually sacrifice, and it's because of the video.
Hmm.
So yeah, it always spoke to me. I always seen and heard that song in association with the musical video, where it's like the mother leaves and leaves father and the daughter alone, and he's like, it's not a sacrifice to take care of the child. And I always like, oh, that breaks my heart. and and that's the thing is with the best song, it's attached to your inner childhood emotion somehow.
Hmm.
And that's what makes it the
Yeah,
best for
definitely.
me.
Yeah. The the title of the song and the line that comes up the most, obviously, nothing else matters. Why do you think he specifies that? Like nothing else matters.
I actually think, knowing how he wrote it and to whom he wrote it, he's like, don't look there,
Yeah, yeah.
look here, what is important, us. And
Yeah.
about the other stuff, open your mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
That makes sense. Yeah.
that's after I read how the song was written.
Yeah. Yeah.
But to me, childhood me, yeah, like, who heard that song, it was priorities. Find
Mhm.
your priorities and shake away the rest that you don't need.
Mhm.
And it's like stand your ground. Nothing else matters. It's in between the lines for me. Find what matters.
Mhm.
How about you?
It reminds me of actually another song that came much later. I don't know if you're familiar with the band Audio Slave, um,
Mhm.
but they had a song, "Be Yourself," and so the chorus of that was, "Be yourself
I
is all that you can
analyzed it
do."
on line by line, by the way. The song by
Did you?
Audioslave, Be Yourself. Yes, I
Yeah.
analyzed it on line by
Oh,
line with Lynn Lavoie. It's already published on Spotify. I will add the link below. It's
oh,
also on
that's funny.
YouTube.
How did I miss that? I don't know how I missed that. So I was a huge Chris Cornell fan. So he's the singer, was the singer of Audio Slave and Soundgarden, and he did solo albums. And I was absolutely gutted when he died. But anyways, yeah. Oh, that's great that I have to check that out. But yeah, so for me as a kid, um, nothing else matters. Yeah, it was just um, all that stuff that makes me feel small and weak doesn't matter, right? It's like just like all that stuff. Because what I did um, to sort of compensate and get by day is I just fed into my anger, and like that became my like shield kind of thing. So anything that would make me feel weak or vulnerable or whatever, um, in those situations where I would be bullied, um, it was like nothing else matters. And which I guess, you know, all the never cared lines in the song kind of to me flesh out the nothing else matters. Like, what they say doesn't matter. The games they play doesn't matter. What they do doesn't matter. What they know doesn't matter. Like none of that stuff matters. Um, so yeah, yeah.
It's like affirmations, you know? You
Hmm.
can repeat to yourself, and with the song and the music, it it is being digested easier by your brain
Hmm.
because you can remember and repeat it easier because there's a rhythm. It's an affirmation with a rhythm. Never,
Yeah,
never care for what they say. Never care for what the games they play and stuff like that.
yeah.
I think it's like a coping mechanism, even.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was one of the first things that really changed in my life when I came to faith. Like when I yeah, when I became a Christian, um, that was one of the first things that started to change as I started to have more empathy, and I started to try to understand um, those those people who didn't matter, quote unquote, didn't matter. Uh, I, I started to have a desire to understand other people more, um, as opposed to like cutting everyone off and wanting to just be by myself or something. So yeah,
I think it's universal in a way. A lot of people go through that. It feels like it, at least.
yeah, yeah.
Christian, I am so grateful for choosing that song and analyzing it.
Thank you
People
for
who
bringing me on. This was a pleasure.
people who watch this video, please check out the links below. Subscribe, subscribe to Christian Substack as well. Support his work, and yeah. Uh, Before we go, I would like to give a last shout out to our sponsor, Free Time, that Christian and I found to record this. Yeah, thank you, and see you in the next line by line. Bye. Christian appeared once on my live stream. That was the best live stream ever, never saved on Twitch. It lives on in our memories.